bad magic," one man yelled over his shoulder as he kept running. Ida gave up the chase. Who could blame the men? This was the first motor car they had ever seen, and Ida supposed it was shocking to them. She hoped in time to prove that the car was no devil. Rather, it would enable her to bring life-changing medical help to many more Indian people. Before the arrival of the car, it had taken her 3 times as long to get out into the country, and the bumpy rides on the lumbering, springless ox carts had left Ida bruised and sore. She wished her father were sitting in the car beside her. He would have loved it. He had always looked for better and more efficient ways to serve the Indian people. Ida smiled and shook her head in astonishment as her thoughts drifted back to her parents and her childhood. She could hardly believe that these medical trips into the Indian countryside were now part of her life. Ida had been born in India, where her father and his father before him had served as a medical missionary. Growing up, Ida had been sure of one thing: she would never follow in her father's footsteps. In fact, she was angry whenever anyone suggested it. Instead, she had wanted to spend the rest of her life in the United States, keeping the horrible images of dying Indians and starving children as far away as possible. But now, here she was, living and working in India as a missionary doctor. As the car bumped along the curvy dirt road, Ida smiled again in amazement. She never could have foreseen the strange set of circumstances God would use to lead her back to India, or the unexpected twists and turns along the way. Chapter 2. A Better Place to Live. "Ida, come here. Mama needs you." Ida heard the call from her hiding place behind the big water jar in the kitchen. She peeked out and saw her mother walking toward the door. Something about the way her mother walked made Ida pay attention instead of turning the search for her into a game. Ida slipped out from behind the jar and followed her mother. As she stepped out the door, Ida was shocked to see hundreds of small children being marched into the backyard. As the children entered the yard, Ida's 2 older brothers organized them to sit in rows. "There you are," Sophia Scudder, Ida's mother, exclaimed, putting her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Come with me. You can be in charge of feeding the children. Give them 1 chunk of bread each. That's all they can have. Can you do that?" 6-year-old Ida nodded, though in truth she was very confused. Her mother had never before put her in charge of anything, much less feeding hundreds of children younger than she was. With a brisk efficiency that served her well as a busy doctor's wife, Mrs. Scudder showed Ida the basket filled with broken chunks of bread. "Start at the front," she said, "and when you have fed a whole row, wave to Walter or Henry, and they will escort the children out the gate. Charlie will stand guard to make sure they don't come in again. There is only enough food for 1 piece each. There are government guards outside to make sure no adults get in, as we have only enough to feed the children. Do you understand?" She knelt down beside her daughter, and Ida could see the tears in her mother's eyes. "Just 1 piece each, because otherwise there won't be enough to go around." Sophia Scudder carried the huge wicker basket outside, where Ida began dipping into it and handing out the bread. Ida could barely look at the children she was feeding. They had the same deep brown eyes and flashing white teeth as the other Indian children she played with here in the village of Vellore, where her father was a doctor and a pastor. But unlike her playmates, the children in front of her had protruding stomachs and stick-thin arms and legs. As Ida moved down the rows, the children